Let's go ahead and bring back former Army pilot and partner at aviation accident firm Kreindler and Kreindler, Brian Alexander. Brian, it's interesting hearing Captain Sully say, look, humans saved the day at the end of the day. And there's a lot of questions now about whether this could have been preventable when it comes to congestion, when it comes to the number of air traffic controllers, and when it comes to what DCA was historically built for, about 15 million people a year, when right now about 20 million people a year are flying into DCA. What are some of the elements you're looking at where perhaps humans could have stepped in to make this a preventable issue?
Yeah, I think I agree with the captain, but you know, the human factors works both ways, and I think that will be the primary focus of the investigation here. You know, if I could set the scene, you know, what you're looking at is the helicopter coming north to south at night off a routine training mission, maybe with goggles on, maybe not. And then he is told by air traffic control, after he's looking at a stack of inbound aircraft, that there's this aircraft that he's in close proximity to. But there's several aircraft out there, and when you're flying in that environment, you see the stack, there's an expectation they're proceeding to runway 1. What's different here, this aircraft was asked to then circle to land on runway 33, which brings the aircraft, the commercial aircraft, out into the river in closer proximity to the helicopter. So you may have had an expectation of what the pilot, the helicopter pilot, was looking at over at the stack of aircraft, may not have noticed this other one that's circling to land. And I don't believe the air traffic controller pointed out what exactly the American Eagle flight was doing that may have compounded it. So I think that there will be great scrutiny on the human factors aspects of the aircraft accident as it relates to what the helicopter pilot saw. Then you have to factor in it's night, a tremendous amount of lights at night that could confuse the pilot. And I think that will be the primary focus to determine what happened, to try not to, you know, to prevent it from happening again. The other last factor is simply that you do have to adjust for the amount of congestion that we're dealing with in the area. These things are all sort of routine until they're not. And as the captain said, you have layers of protection here, but you're at the most critical point in a flight. You've got one on a final approach, another transitioning at a very low altitude, and some of the technology is not in place. The TCAS really not effective at this part of the airport area. So all of these things are
tell us about that.
TCAS is a collision avoidance system, which undoubtedly the Bombardier jet had. We don't know whether the Blackhawk had it, but for both aircraft and for the air traffic controllers, it may not have mattered because of where they were in such close proximity to the airport and numerous other aircraft. It's basically a nuisance alarm at that point. It is mitigated or even turned off to allow the traffic to flow, because at that point, it's see and avoid, it's call out and avoid. And that's where maybe the errors occurred here.
Brian, we only have 30 seconds left. Your dad was an air traffic controller. We're looking at a shortage of 10,000 air traffic controllers in this country. In your estimation, what needs to happen to improve safety in our skies?
So Captain Sullenberger's dead on here. There's issues everywhere, pilot training, the congestion, the volume. But on air traffic control specifically, these are the most unheralded heroes day to day in our entire transportation system. They are amazing. The men and women there are amazing, but Brian, they are understaffed and overwhelmed.
Thank you so much for your expertise.